Hey, how's everybody doing out there, man? Welcome to Sports Talk with BK. As usual, I'm your host, BK, and today I have my very first guest. And his name is?
Chris Seisay
Of?
Portland State University.
Not only is Chris a standout football player, but he also happens to be my little cousin. He's not on the show by nepotism, don't worry about that. He's on the show because he's a great athlete, student athlete, and he also knows what it takes to be recruited and other things like that. So let's get started. Chris, what's your earliest memories of playing football?
My earliest memories of playing football would probably be how I started off.
Right.
Started off, you know what I'm saying, we had strict parents, African parents, so it's like, African parents, exactly.
Yeah.
So, my mom wasn't really too into football like that, and, she didn't want me to get hurt, so I'm playing football. I'm an athlete growing up, and I just like to play, so I'm playing football in middle school, PE and stuff, and I'm kind of going off, you know what I'm saying? I'm catching all these balls, I'm scoring.
And she don't know how raw you are. She's like, what's going on here?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm excelling in school and stuff, and people are telling me like, hey, you should play for the Patriots. That was the local team at the time,
right.
The Pop Warner team, and they had just got established. It was like probably the first 2 years in, and so I ended up playing for the Patriots, and I had a great 2 seasons there.
And then
ended up coming to the Generals.
Which is crazy, is because my second year coaching, my other coach that we coached with, Mike Clay, came up to me and was like, man, there's this kid that's Chad's best friend. Shout out to Chad, plays for San Jose State.
Chad Miller was good.
And he was like, this dude is the best tight end and receiver in the league, man. We need to get him. He lives in American Canyon. Like, he lives in American Canyon. It's like, it's my little cousin. It's like, no way. No, that's not your little cousin. So to fast forward, the next year, Chris comes over to the Vallejo Generals, and we take that team all the way undefeated to the championship game, and we lose to the team that we played in the season. It was just a bad game. It was
raining. It was all bad.
Yeah.
We didn't want to.
Man,
it was all bad. Man,
but it was a good learning experience. That was my second year coaching football, and that was really what got us into like the passion of everything.
Exactly, and that year, that's when I really got the love for the game. That's when I really started playing passionate with football and everything. And you know what I'm saying, I'm just glad I had that experience playing with my, being able to be coached by my cousin, and just having that experience playing for the Generals.
So we fast forward. Let's go a little bit past high school. We go to college. Chris gets into Oregon, University of Oregon. He's actually playing DB for them. Let's talk about some of the big games that you played in. You played in the first ever college playoffs.
Yeah. You
played in the national championship game. What are your memories about these games?
Man, honestly, it would probably be the whole season.
Right.
We had the Heisman winner, Marcus Mariota, as our quarterback.
Exactly.
And it was almost like a dream season. We lost one game during the regular season, and unfortunately, the player that was in front of me, Ifo Ekpeolamu, got on the Dolphins now. Shout out to Ifo. He had got injured, unfortunately, and I was the next man up, so I ended up starting.
Right.
Luckily for me, you know what I'm saying, but bad circumstances for him.
Of course. But that's football, though. Football is the ultimate next man up, and they say that all the time. Like, you got to prepare hard, which you did. You got to stay in the books. And you also got to make sure that you're ready at any time because you never know what's going to happen.
Exactly.
So I remember when you called me and told me that you were going to get that start, and I was just like, man, I'm about to be at this game.
Exactly.
It was just crazy. I remember.
Yeah, it was surreal, man.
But talk about the preparation now. Like, what does it take to be a student athlete at a huge university like that?
You have to be focused. You can't let anything distract you in the outside world. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have all this distraction, parties, all this. You can do all that, but you have to have the right balance, and you have to stay focused, especially during the season.
Right.
So, you know what I'm saying? Stay focused on my goal that year. Our goal was the championship, so we weren't letting anything get in the way of that. So, yeah, man, we practiced hard, prepared well. We would do all the little things it took to separate ourselves from other teams in the conference.
Exactly. Now talk about your experience playing in the first ever college football playoffs.
That was crazy, man. We played, the first game we played was against Jameis.
And Florida State.
Florida State.
Crazy. He threw the ball backwards.
That was the game, man, where all the memes came. But that game was crazy, man. I got my first start in the Rose Bowl.
Right.
The granddaddy of them all. It was a blessing, man.
How do you get pumped? I know you're gonna get pumped for that game, obviously, because it's a big game. But how do you hone in on what you're gonna do, your responsibilities, making sure that you remember all your coverages, all your checks, all your reads?
Yeah.
How do you stay focused in such a grand atmosphere?
What you can do, you can't focus on anything outside world. You have to focus on the game like you would in any other game. I play. What I would do, I would play like there's no one watching.
Exactly.
Play like it's practice. You know what I'm saying? It all starts with your preparation and practice. You play full speed in practice. You play the same way. You know what I mean? Like you would treat practice like the game. So you get to the game, it's gonna be piece of cake.
What I tell players when I coach them is that you want to treat it like a story. So you have a beginning, a middle, and end. Or like every quarter is like a brand new chapter. Exactly. So what you do in this chapter, or even every series, if you really want to break it down in a series, that's the best way to do it. So you have your first series, you're opening up, you're doing everything that you can, making sure that you remember your coverages, your reads, your checks, and other things like that. And then you assess it during the break when the offense goes back out there. Yeah. And then you retune yourself for the next series, right? Yes. That's pretty much what you would do?
That's exactly what we do. And our Coach Neal, he did a good job of reminding us, just taking one play at a time. One play at a time. Win this play, win the next play, and win the play after that.
That kind of goes back to the mantra, what you guys call win the day, right?
Win the day. You don't focus on anything in the future. You just focus on what you can control, and that's the present.
Now let's talk about the national championship. How was it playing in a natty though?
In the natty, man. The natty, that was a whole different ball game. We got to play against Ohio State, which had the great Urban Meyer coaching, and they had three different quarterbacks.
Yeah, but look at who was in the backfield though.
Ezekiel was toting that rock.
The NFL leading rusher.
He was toting that rock. It was not a game.
Yeah,
that was a dope game, but it was surreal, man. I really couldn't believe that I was actually playing in the natty during the game. I think it was like probably second quarter. I'm on the field. I'm just like, I look around. I'm just like, man, like I'm playing in the national championship. Like, who would have thought this?
I remember watching that game from home because them tickets was crazy. I know you wouldn't get tickets for everybody. So I remember watching that game from home. I'm just like, man, this is crazy that somebody that you've seen grow up from, a kid, a baby, pretty much holding you to a superstar athlete playing in that big of a game. Like, how do you just relax, like you said, just take it one play at a time and not really focus on the outside stuff?
Yeah,
that's huge because a lot of young athletes think about, okay, well, I'm playing this big game, but how are you preparing for it? How are you making your mindset from it? That's really what it starts with, because football is so mental. People think that it's physical. It's not about being the best. It's not about being the fastest. Exactly. It's about who could retain the information and who could not crack under pressure.
That's what a lot of people don't understand. That football, especially at the D1 level, everyone really, everyone probably is the same physically.
Exactly.
Everyone's probably the same. And what's going to separate you is your mentality. And, you know what I mean? My mentality was, as a freshman, a lot of freshmen probably be like, oh, I have to make this play. I have to do this. I have to get a pick. But, how I prepared for that game was, I look at my matchups. I'm corner, so when I'm watching film, I'm looking at the quarterback and the outside receivers. I'm checking their releases. I'm checking what they like to do. I'm checking if they're blocking, if they like to block. I'm checking if they block to the whistle. I'm checking if they finish their routes.
That's what it, and those things that you're talking about are exactly what every coach talks about in America. It's about doing your job. A lot of the time, you want to make the big play. You tell yourself, okay, I'm going to put myself in this position. I'm about to get a pick. Well, picks come to people who are in the right place at the right time, which means that they were doing what the defense or offense told them to do.
Exactly.
So a lot of the times, you got to make sure that you're in the right position because your coach put you in that position. So make sure that you're doing your job.
Exactly. Do your job. Good things will come after that. It all leads up.
Exactly. So let's talk about another big game that you played in against TCU in the Alamo Bowl. I was at that game.
Yeah, man.
That game,
probably the craziest game in my life.
Up 20, 30, I don't even know if it was 20, 25 points.
It was 30-0 at halftime.
It was 30-0 at halftime. I mean, we're having fun in the stands. We're thinking that the game is over.
You know what's crazy about it is we didn't even think it was over. Probably some people there on the team, but you know what I'm saying? The thing is though, we try to keep our intensity up, like, you know what I'm saying? It's 30-0, but don't let up. Right. And, we lost our quarterback Vernon at halftime to a neck injury.
I remember that.
And, you know what I'm saying, our backup, he wasn't bad. It just, things weren't going well. for the offense, and unfortunately we couldn't put up any points at halftime. And you know, I mean, the defense was getting worn out throughout the game, and yeah, man, it was crazy. They were punching in the face, and I look up at the clock. I look up at the scoreboard. It's tied up.
Right.
With about, I think it was like 10 seconds left or something like that. I'm like, damn, we going to OT.
I remember us partying in our section because you guys are up, and then they scored. We're like, oh yeah, they scored one time.
All I kept hearing was roars coming from the TCU side in the second half.
It was so loud in this stadium, like.
Can't forget, we're playing in Texas as well.
Right, yeah, we're playing in Texas, and it's against TCU, which is Texas home base. I mean, it was probably like 4-1 as far as like the TCU fans versus
exactly. We had our little section, probably 1,000 people.
But y'all was balling, and that game was just crazy, just because the atmosphere. I mean, this is what college football is about, man. You're in a big game at a crunch time, and you have to make plays, and you're just out there doing it.
Exactly.
I mean, unfortunately, you guys weren't able to finish it.
But they got the best of us that day. It's kudos to TCU. Yeah. They kept going. They didn't stop the whole game, so that's kudos to them.
But that's a good experience to be in, because I mean, how many
you definitely learn from that.
How many people could say that they played in one of the best college football games ever? In the national championship, the first ever college football player. If you look at those accolades, like, man, that's crazy.
It is.
There's very few people that can say that.
Bless.
And that's what I'm saying. It's a blessing, but it's also the work that you put in, the hard work during the off season, which nobody sees. I mean, it's those little
things you do behind closed doors definitely pays off, man. That's something I definitely could say is that hard work pays off, and I've seen that.
So let's talk about the work that you put in during the off season and during like downtime. Like, what are some of the things that you do in order to make sure that you're prepared for the next season, physically, mentally, all of that?
Well, for me, you know, growing up, I really just wasn't a weight room guy like that. You know, it just really wasn't in me. I got my money on the field, and that's what I would do. I would train by going to the field, going to DB coaches, doing a lot of footwork drills, and my main workout that I would do is sand workouts. All you football players out there, sand workouts.
He's putting you up on a good tip right now.
I'm telling you, man, that's something that can change your whole physical, man.
Get your feet right, and that's what I mean. The NFL is not. A lot of the players that are up there, you'll see them. They do like band resistance stuff and other things like that. But it's really about making sure that your feet are right and that you're mentally prepared to play the game, because that's the football game is probably like they say 80% mental and about 20% physical.
Exactly, man. I'm sure that you guys seen a lot of players in the NFL where you're like, man, like he doesn't even seem that athletic, or you know what I'm saying, he doesn't even seem that good, but I could tell you that his mental is probably through the roof.
Right.
I can tell you that.
So let's fast forward a little bit, almost to the present day. So you go from Oregon and you transfer over to Portland State.
Yeah.
What's your mentality for the transfer, and then also for like how you're going to go in and how you're going to set the tone for these next 2 years that you have at Portland State to play?
Yeah, I ended up leaving Oregon for, you know, some reasons, but when I was going to Portland State, my main goal was to not drop off, not to become content.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of people probably go down the level and think, oh yeah, I'm better than all these guys, or you know what I mean, I'm going to be successsul just because I played at this school. But my mentality was to be greater every year, just be great, dominate, you know what I'm saying, wherever I'm at.
Exactly. And that's the type of mentality that you need in order to be successful in any walks of life. You just got to always take the same, like that Division I mentality, like I'm the best person at this, and I'm going to keep it that way regardless of what level I'm
on. No matter who's in front of me, I'm trying to dominate. Right. That's how my mentality is.
As a coach, you can't go from high school to college back to high school and think that, okay, well, I'm coaching against high school players. Like, no, I'm going to take this Division I mentality or this junior college mentality, and I'm going to bring it back to the high school level, because that's the only way that you're going to be successful.
Exactly.
Now let's talk about you playing receiver and DB at Portland State. How is that?
Yeah, man. That's something I always wanted to do in college. I always wanted to go both ways because my heart was always at receiver.
Right.
You know, man.
Yeah, exactly. That's how when you got the scholarship to Oregon and you told me to play DB, I was like, hey, Chris is a receiver, man. I was like, what is he doing? And then I saw him ball at DB. I was like, I stand corrected.
but yeah, man. That's something I wanted to do. I felt like I could contribute to the team on the offensive side as well as the defensive side. So that's something that the coaches allowed me to do, and I'm thankful that they let me do that. For about 3 games, I had about a couple receptions, like probably about four receptions for about like 60, 70 yards.
But that's
something
so
like that in the first 3 games, yeah.
Exactly. But just to the football acclimate to be able to go from receiver to DB seamlessly at a Division I level is crazy because you have so many checks. You have to learn the playbook on both sides of the ball. You have to know your reads. You also have to know your matchups on both sides of the ball.
Exactly. I think it was like my first couple of weeks at the school.
That's crazy. Yeah. I mean, that's a talent to what kind of work that you put in, but also acclimate to the type of mentality that you have, and also how smart you are as a football player, because that just doesn't happen. Yeah. You know what I mean? So how difficult was the transition for you as far as like going from Oregon to Portland State?
You know, it was difficult, man. I didn't want to leave Oregon, you know what I'm saying, but you know, circumstances I had to leave just because of, you know what I'm saying, it was in my heart for what I wanted to do. But
it's putting yourself in the best position.
Putting myself in the best position for me, you know what I'm saying, my fam. But you know, making the transition, you know what I'm saying, honestly, it was not that hard. You know what I'm saying? With helping my parents help me move in there, they supported me with whatever I did. You guys, you know what I'm saying, my family, that you guys supported me with everything, and you know, I thank you guys for that.
I appreciate that.
But you know what I'm saying, it wasn't really that hard. I got in, the coaches were real cool. Right when they found out I was transferring, the same coach recruited me in high school from ACHS. That's at Portland State. He called me up and he said, you know, we have a home for you at Portland State. And I said, you know what, I'm coming. And you know what I'm saying, I talked to the head coach and the team, they welcomed me in, and everything about it, it was just an easy transition.
You consider it one of the best decisions that you made?
I don't think so.
That's what it's
I don't think so. God put me in that situation, man. So
exactly. That's what I said. As long as you're happy about it, and you're excited about the next transition of your phase, man. That's all that it really comes down to.
Yeah.
So going forward, going into your senior campaign, like what are the goals that you set for yourself? Number one, and also number two, let's start with that. What are your goals that you set for yourself for this last year of your college career?
My goal for this year is to be the best defensive player in Division I AA. That's my goal. First of all, to be the best defensive player, and I want to have I would like to have about 8 picks. That's my goal. That's my goal. About 8. That's my goal, man. But you know what I'm saying. You reach for the start. You reach for the start. You know you're gonna land somewhere, man.
Exactly. I mean, 8 is that's all American type stuff, right?
Yeah, man. I'm trying to be the best I can be. I'm trying to, you know what I'm saying. I'm trying to take my game to the next level. And you know, I've been studying the game a lot this off season, and just studying a lot of different players, man, and just trying to see what I can do to take my game to the next level.
You know, from your tongue to God's ears, man, hopefully that will come true. And also you're putting in the work and the effort. That's what it really comes down to.
Yeah, man.
So I guess my last question would be, what advice would you give to anybody getting recruited right now? And also, what are the things that you would put in, if you could go back and tell yourself as a freshman or as a redshirt that you know now, what would you tell yourself back then?
So first, just advice I'll give to people getting recruited.
Yeah.
High school players being recruited, man. You know what I mean? Nothing's gonna get handed to you. People think that coach is just gonna come knocking at the door, but you have to be persistent. You have to promote yourself out there to coaches, man. You have to, you know what I'm saying, you have to market yourself.
That's what it really comes down to. It's about marketability, and also it's about availability.
And exactly.
Yeah.
And also, man, you have to be realistic. You can't think, you know, just because you have one good game or, you know, a couple of good games that, you know what I'm saying, these coaches are going to be interested in you. You have to prove it on the field as well.
Exactly.
You can't just be, you know what I'm saying, posting videos and stuff. You have to really put in the work and, you know what I'm saying, make sure it pays off on the field.
One thing that I always told every player and all the people in my position group is that the checks that we gave you yesterday might not be able to get cashed tomorrow. So then what I mean by that is that just because you put in good work last week and everything was good, we turned a new page. We're in a new chapter, you know what I'm saying? This is a what have you done for me lately league and a lately environment.
Exactly.
That's what football's about.
Well, what you did, you know what I'm saying, last year or your big plays last year, it doesn't matter, man.
Right.
It matters what you can do
It's
now.
about what you can do and what you can continue to do.
Exactly.
And they might let you slip a couple times because of what you did in the past, but it's not going to go for too far. Because you got 5 years to play for, and there's always somebody else coming in.
Exactly. There's always someone that's trying to be better than you. There's always someone that's trying to be the best, man. So, you know You know what I'm saying? Always keep that in your head and stay humble as well. You stay humble, the blessings will come your way, man.
Exactly. And I guess this is the last question is about the recruiting process coming from high school to college. What can you tell players about picking the right school for themselves, and also like how do you put yourself in that? How did you put yourself in that type of environment to pick a certain school versus another?
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I myself, you know, I was young, man, making a decision, and what I could say is when you're picking a school, don't go for, you know what I'm saying, for anything besides what you feel is right. You know what I mean? Don't go for, oh, it's a lot of girls at this school, or oh, like these unis are crazy, or
some
this.
People think those two things are factors, like girls and uniforms, because you said, Oregon uniform you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like they have every uniform. You probably didn't even wear the same uniform more than twice.
Exactly, man. You know what I'm saying? Oregon was a great school, man, but you know what I mean? You gotta focus on things that will help you be successful. You know what I mean? Like things that can just play into your situation, where it's located, you know what I mean? What they have to offer academically, how the coaches are. Do you get along with the coaches? Are they genuine people? You know what I mean? You want to play for people that you trust and believe in you as well.
Exactly, because if you have a coach that believes in you, you're going to get more chances, and also they're going to put you in the best position to be successful.
And your self-confidence is going to...
And that's what it's about. When I coach, I never like to talk down on players or anything. I want to big up what they did. I'm going to tell them what they did wrong, but I'm also going to tell them what they need to do in order to be better and what they did right. Because if you build a player up, man, they're only going to soar, and they're going to come back and say, man, I remember that time that you talked to me.
Exactly. You want an honest coach, man. You want an honest coach all the time. And I know that's what you are, man.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't like to lie, and sometimes it might be a lying business, but that's not what I'm in for. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I'm telling the truth and about moving forward. So if you want to shout out your Twitter or your Instagram or anything like that.
Yeah, man. My Instagram, Seesway, SEESWAAY. You know what I mean? Hit me with that follow, man. You'll see some great pics, you feel me? And Twitter, Swago Craze, SWAYGOCRAAZ.
Yeah, once again, man, this is BK for Sports Talk with BK. I'd like to thank Chris for coming on. I appreciate it. It's been nothing good. Thank you for also my cousin behind the camera, man.
Shout out to Kenny, man.
Kenny was back here, you know what I'm saying? Hit me up, sportstalkwithbk@gmail.com. Also, BK_520 on Instagram, man. And let's just keep this dialogue going, man. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Peace.
Peace.